Hello, X-ers and interwebers. Welcome to Naive in the 90s, the podcast. I'm your host, Emily. I was a 70s baby, an 80s kid, and a 90s troublemaker. On today's episode, we will be talking about growing up Gen X with my special guests, Anne, Esther, Amy, and Lily. So you know it's going to be a really, really fun time. So with that being said, let's just jump into it. So today's episode is super fun. Once again, it's 5 best friends from high school just getting together on the phone and chit-chatting about what we know best. Being Gen X. Usually I do kind of edit these down because when we all get on our call, we do end up babbling a lot. And this time, I didn't really edit too much out. I did take out some things that were, more personal or identifying because, again, we do all use pen names because we are real people and the things that we talk about and the people we talk about, they're all real. So, I'm going to let today's call just kind of roll. There isn't really an introduction, so just know that the callers or the guests that I have are, my really good friends from high school, and they are also in the book, Naive in the 90s, which is, a creative nonfiction based on my own personal diaries and journals from the early and mid 90s and when I was in high school. So I guess hold on for the ride because it certainly is a ride. But I love these girls so much, and I think I think you'll enjoy it. So let's just do it. And I guess just one quick warning, not that if you're listening to this you can't see that it's super long, but this is a super long episode. It's about 2 hours and 20 minutes down there, and I suppose I could have divided it into 2 separate episodes and do a part 1 and a part 2, but I don't know, I just didn't feel like it. So here it is in all of its very long and babbly glory for you to listen to as a whole or to break it up and come back to it. But I just a warning, over 2 hours. So yeah.
Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm great.
I can't wait till we're doing this in person.
Oh,
right? I know.
For real.
I'm looking forward to
You
that.
guys lived closer so we could just do a overnight or a weekend or something like now, because I need the girl vibe.
Yeah, right? I don't know. It's just like the last, month or so. Things have just changed. And I'm just like, I just need some girl time.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah, me too. Hey, you.
Hey!
So how was everyone doing? Like, for real? For real?
Good. Good. This body changing stuff we went through puberty once. And then we had to freaking have periods every month for so many years. And now we got to go through second puberty again. It just pisses me off.
Yeah. No, it's stupid. The whole design is just dumb. Oh my god, it really is though.
Ha! Hello?
It really. Oh,
Hello?
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 Oh my- Is everyone here?
Yeah.
I think so.
Stop. We're getting to be way too good at this. Somebody hang up.
I mean, right? I'm like impressed.
That's hilarious.
By this point, we're already usually in like 5 broken recordings,
Right.
popping in and out.
Yep.
Look at that. We're like pros now.
I'm in therapy and I still haven't told my parents because my dad is so against therapy. He's like, that will be on your permanent record. You'll never get a job anywhere. You won't, I'm like, okay, Dad.
Where's his permanent record and who has it?
I know, right?
Yeah, especially because like what job is asking your personal medical history first?
Right.
Plus, who isn't in therapy?
Right, exactly.
Now that we can go, we're all going.
Yeah, people who aren't in therapy are the scary people.
Yes.
That's what I'm worried about.
I have yet to see a medical record that sits there and says person is in therapy.
Right.
I have never seen
exactly. Exactly. Like I don't know. It's that whole generation. They have a real stigma with all of the mental health stuff, which is really sad. I mean, it's infuriating because we are the children of these broken people that didn't recognize the broken in us, and when they did, they just didn't care because they were like, buck up and deal with it.
Yep.
But like it's also sad because like how, you know, they feel like that for a reason. You know what I mean? Like
they were not allowed to have emotion at all. Exactly. They were not allowed to deal with any of their shit. They all had to suck it up and shove it down deep. So
yeah, exactly.
That's why they're a mess.
So I've been, taking this class about like women's wellness and sexual health. Yeah. And one of the statistics was like how people rate their sex life and their satisfaction and the amount of orgasms that they have. And by far, like I mean like by far, lesbian women have the highest percentage of satisfaction and orgasms.
I need to be lesbian.
Why? Because there's toys involved.
Oh yeah, toys are great. Like,
yeah,
2 seconds. And
lesbians only fall second to self.
Right? Yeah, no, I mean, true. Right? Yeah, that is true. But at the same time, then wouldn't that mean that like, gay men should be doing just as well because like they
involved. Anytime there's a man involved, they plummet.
100% true.
Yeah. Plus you probably got to take into account like ED and whiskey dick and all that other shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, sex is great, but like really the toys, especially if you guys have not like the vibe and suction is like.
Really?
Oh no. Like this is like going from rotary phone to a cell phone.
Okay, I gotta check that out.
like
not just any cell phone, the smartphone.
Yeah, no, like I can't stress it enough. Like, so that's my friendly women's health tip for you all.
Your PA.
Yeah, and I've never been more serious about anything in my entire life.
That's hilarious.
That's awesome.
So it's like life changing.
Okay, I'm getting one tonight.
Like for real, for real, it's ridiculous, and like especially because I don't know if it's just me. I know it's not just me, but I don't know if it's you guys. But like my drive is so high that I feel like, is this what like teenage boys felt like? Like they just like, and in my training, they were saying that like women of this age, like we have sleep issues and that orgasms make you want to sleep and like let your body sleep. Yeah. So I'm just saying. I'm looking out for your health, everyone.
Thank you. Very much appreciated.
Yep.
Now we know why guys would always sit there and have like the 3 a.m. like, want to have sex when we're just wanting to sleep.
Right.
They wake up, they can't go back to sleep, so they would be like yes, this is the time. I want to go back to sleep.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Which is a weird perspective to have now. You know,
right. Well, I don't know I don't know if I remember learning it in health class or if it was in any of like my medical training. I don't know why or where I learned it, but I, for whatever reason, knew that once you got into like your older, like 30s, early 40s, your drive would start to get better and stuff. And I'm not even kidding you. Like, it was a goal of mine.
Well, yeah. I think we were all taught we were going to be blanched.
Like my 40s, and I was ready for it to just flip a switch. And I was like, wait, you have to like the other person. Oh, fuck.
Yes. How about you, Lily? We know you're out there exploring.
What's the question?
Well, like you were okay, so you have a unique perspective because you were together for 2 decades, you know what I mean? Like with your guy. You're also now without and have been for, a couple years now where you've been out exploring the dating world. Like, how is it different for you? What do you see as like, all of that?
It's very easy to find dick. Is that the question? I can text someone right now and have dick delivered to my house. I don't understand.
That's the best answer, whether that's the question or not. That's the best answer.
The other day I got dick and Indian food delivered to my house. It was great. Awesome.
One of the perks of being a grown-up in this digital world.
Right?
Our parents couldn't have dick delivered.
I don't want to think about my parents having dick delivered.
Oh, no, that's the funniest shit in the whole world right there. Because literally the second this man walked into my door, my daughter texted me, "Is there a man at the house?" Because the backyard ring went off and she spies on my ass.
That's too good.
I don't know that I could do the dating thing. I think I would.
I know. It fucking sucks so bad. It's 0 stars. I hate it out there. Every time I start, I'm like, because you know what it is I have a terrible habit where I'm like, okay, this isn't working. This relationship sucks, and I try to bail. And then I want to scratch the itch. So then I'm like, hey, and of course they're like, yeah. And I'm like, no, I want a real relationship. So I go back to the app, and then I hate it there.
Yeah.
So then I go back and I start recycling old dick. I'm really good at recycling. I care about the planet.
See, you just need one of those earth-friendly suction and vibrate machines.
Apparently, we all need one of those.
It won't work because it won't choke me. So there's that.
Yeah.
Yeah, right there with you, girl.
Yeah.
I think we all got that kink.
Yeah. Is that because we've all been traumatized and we grew up and like became like sexual beings in such a toxic time?
Yeah.
You know, it's really funny. I didn't like that until fairly recently.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is the best.
I was a very I don't want to say prudish, but more, I guess, traditional.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know, that changed. And then I watched, I think, 2 videos on TikTok, and it, my whole freaking FYP was.
That really is the danger of that app.
Oh my God. But it's kind of funny. So no, it's kind of, I was never, if my ex-husband tried that, I would probably have punched him straight in the face during sex. They would have hard.
But see, isn't that also the difference between how we were brought up in our sexual every awakening or whatnot? Is that now it wouldn't be expected that your husband would spring that on you. He would ask you your consent to do it. Right. Like he would ask now. Like that's a whole thing, is like it's perfectly normal for people to be like I don't know if you've seen the show Sex Education. It's like a British show, but
Yeah,
like
it's great.
it is. It's awesome. And one of the things they like this girl like put her finger in his ass, and he was like, I enjoyed it, but it was a surprise. And the therapist is like, well, there's this thing, consent, and like they made it into like a thing. Like it's just a thing. Like it's just so foreign to what is natural for us. You know what I mean? Like you immediately were not like, if I brought this up to my husband or I, whatever, just like it was if he sprung it on me. You know what I mean? Like how
I do, because that's the part that's different now, honestly, with the dating now, is that I feel like everybody kind of had to learn that now, and that's what's happening.
Kind of like that idea that people can just be open with what is comfortable and what they like, and just it's normal, as opposed to us where it was like
open to talking about it, though. That's the thing. We're all open to talking about it now, even though, like, it's not like a weird like thing. It's very actually
no judgment, but there's some weird stuff that people do, like men sticking things down their urethras and stuff.
Yes.
Of course, because my TikTok is what it is. This guy pops up and he says, when so and so asks you for another set made out of whatever, some hardwood, you accommodate. And I did not have a clue what I was looking at, and they were all different sizes.
Oh no!
And they were the things that the guys like to put in their peepees. And then the only reason I figured it out was because it flashed to like the end of it. They put like different clips. The end of it was a chick holding metal ones. Name. So I looked at what it was, and I was like, what in the
oh my god!
So then, their urethra? Are they gonna end up with like a bag? Like, what the fuck?
Oh my god!
So one of them, I'm not even kidding you.
It's a thing. I don't know. It's
you guys, this guy made one, and I'm not telling you, it was like a 00 gauge, and this it was for that, and I'm like, how? There's just no way it stretches that much.
I hate a boring man.
Yeah, like legit. Vanilla has never sounded so pleasant in my life.
I'm terrified.
No. See, okay. So back to the original statement. I'm glad that people can just be upfront about what they want and what they don't want.
Oh yeah.
No.
You know what really sucks is like, so I had such bad kidney stones where I've needed stents.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's what I think of. That stent was probably, like the size of a wire. It's probably the most painful thing I've encountered.
Yes.
A kidney stone. I cannot even fathom.
Yeah, like I've had catheters before, and then they have to pull it out, and they've got the balloon, the deflated balloon, and like it is horrible. How could anyone want anything even remotely close to that as something fun? I just can't. No, stop it.
There are some weird guys. When I worked in the ER, there were some guys that got hard-ons when you had to catheterize them. It's like,
oh my
god. Dude, that's like the kids told me about when they had to go to EMT school. They told me about trauma boners.
Yes. I've seen those. That's weird.
See, that's the worst. I feel like everything that they got that is better in their lives, like that's the trade-off, is they have to walk through life just not knowing when they're gonna do that. Like, how horrible could you imagine? Like, that's your life from the time you're like little, because it happens even before puberty. So from the time you're little all the way through until you fucking die, you have to worry about just like having a boner at any given time that you have no control over. That's like a curse. I think that's like a curse. It's so weird. Okay, so now that we've spent the first hour talking about vibrators and penises.
The good stuff.
I know, for a minute I was like, is this our topic?
Yeah. There was a subtle change in topic.
And the most amusing thing is I'm taking my dogs for a walk and I have you guys on speaker and I was walking through a park.
I love it.
Get this old community here, maybe some boners of their own.
But isn't that like talking about old boners? Like, isn't it like in the nursing homes, STDs are like super.
Oh my gosh,
rampant.
It is, and it's because they use the pills, the enhancers, and then or they'll have like the pumps, the hard-on pumps where they can just like kind of harden up, and then they don't have to use any condoms or anything like that because they're not having kids, but they don't have like the mentation of there's STDs.
Right. Right. See, that's so.
Yep.
That's so weird.
So a lot of people are like, how you like, you're single, you could just go out and have fun. And it's like, dude, the shit that I've seen and the stuff that I know, it's scary out there.
Yeah.
It's like, that's like my biggest thing. It's like, dude, not, condoms aren't 100%,
Right.
and it's like, there are things that it's like, those things rip. And it's like, there's things that, once you get it, it's stuck with you forever. And it's, so it's kind of scary out there. And especially like when I did my women's health rotation, the number of people that were coming in with like, so now I guess there's like these pills and stuff for HIV and stuff like that. The generation now, like the younger generation, like with us, we think of it as like, oh my God, like a death sentence because we grew up in the 80s, and that's what it was.
Yep.
Then they're like, well, there's a pill for it.
Right.
Same thing, it's like a lot of the STDs, it's like, that's all right. I had this one lady, she had like she was positive for HPV. She had a boyfriend and we were just like, hey, you need to tell him that you're testing positive for HPV and you gotta get treated for it, or something. Like we needed to have that. I think he just needed to tell him, and I forgot what they were gonna do for her. But she's like, oh no, that's fine.
Wow.
What? Yeah. Like, she's active. It's like he needs to be using a condom because you have active like HPV right now, and nope.
Wow.
Yeah, like I'm fine. So the mentality out there is gross. And a lot of people, because they have like the IUDs and all that other stuff, they don't wear protection.
Wow.
What is wrong with people? Do they not teach it in school anymore enough for kids to realize it?
Probably not.
I think it's become a norm. Like there's like someone, they'd come in, they'll have syphilis, they're like, oh, I'll just get a shot, that's fine.
Oh my God, I didn't know that was still out there, for fuck's sake.
Oh my God, it is rampant right now.
Oh my God.
It's like so freaking rampant. Syphilis, gonorrhea. I had this one lady because she had syphilis and she needed to get the injection for the antibiotic. She up and left.
Oh my God.
What?
She did not want the injection, so she walked out with syphilis.
Wow.
But doesn't she know that's going to kill her brain and eventually turn her insane and kill her?
I guess she was more afraid of the shot.
What the fuck?
Yep. Yeah. So it's freaking super scary.
That's all. I hate it all. If I ended up single at any point for any reason, I'm just getting cats. I would just worry about all that stuff way too much.
Yep.
Nope.
Yep.
It's tiresome.
Then it's like, and then you never know if these people were with someone between the time that they did have a STD check and the time that they're with you. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So it's just, it really is kind of like a scary thing. And like, I don't know. So it's like my career has kind of jaded me in that field,
Yeah, again, pulse and vibrate, guys. Pulse and vibrate.
I'm going to give you an STD.
Yep.
Legit.
STD free.
Yeah. Yeah. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so
on a happier
note.
If there's ever any doubt that any of us are somewhere divergent at all, we just need to submit any of these calls as
right.
Like, let's get this diagnosis over for all of us.
Yeah, just a group. Yep. Yep. People would be like, what the hell? What are they talking about now? Why are they back to dicks?
Because dicks are fascinating.
They really are, though. They're so weird.
I would love to have one for a day, man. I'd be flagging that thing around like crazy.
God. Right? Like a little baby elephant with its trunk. Like, I just feel like sticking it in things.
Oh, yeah.
I want to know what would get me hard. Honestly, that would be my walking around looking at things like, does this make me hard? Does this make me hard? Is this rock making me hard? This is awesome.
Did the wind just blow in the right direction?
It does work.
If someone puts cheesecake in front of me, I'm like, yes.
That gets me hard as a woman. So
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God! Oh, we
like coming
if I
home
was
and like the
single and
dishes
someone
are all
else-
clean and the laundry's done. It's like
that would get me hard too.
Yeah.
Okay, so if I was single and I had the option of dick, STD free, or cheesecake in a clean house, it would be cheesecake in a clean house all day long.
Yeah, legit.
wait after eating it.
Yes, right. I mean, if we're being perfectly honest, though, and like fully honest, even with the gaining the weight.
Yep.
Oh God, when did we become these people?
Oh, we've always been these people.
Right.
We're just allowed to just fuck it, say it.
I know, right? For real. I think about it sometimes, like just like how much of the pretending that things were cool and like we were into things just because that's what was happening around us. It's
Right.
just it's crazy.
Kind of I was like having that conversation with my son. You know, I was like, you're going to end up doing stuff just because other people want to do stuff, and you're going to be miserable doing the stuff, and you're going to spend the day having a miserable time and realizing you could have just done what you wanted to do and been happy.
Yep.
Instead
Right.
of what everybody else thinks.
Yep.
That I didn't have the luxury of being taught that.
Yep.
Right. I wish our parents talked to us that way when we were younger. I wish we could go to our parents and tell them that stuff.
While my parents, all in all, were good and they gave me opportunities to have a thought process, not really.
Right.
Still don't go against the grain.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Just make sure you're liked. Make sure everybody knows you're a good girl. Just always, I had to be a good girl, And so I grew up always just feeling like I had to be a good girl.
Yep.
And
Also, when did that become a fucking kink? God damn it.
And back
That I
full
was
circle.
unaware of until someone said it to me.
I don't like calling people a daddy, but I will call them sir. And that's,
Yeah. Well, I think that kink probably comes about because of the trauma.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean,
No, I am a good
I was
girl.
like,
I am.
for sure. That's
God damn it. Love learning new things about myself in my 40s.
Yeah. I mean,
when are we gonna learn them, right? We gotta learn them sometime.
you would think that you were the best person at knowing who you are, but I've come to realize I have not a fucking clue.
Nope. Yeah, so it's like, new version of me, who this?
Right. That's exactly it. It's like you're sitting here and all of a sudden you're like, I would never have tolerated that before, or I would have tolerated that and I'm not going to now. It's like you're such like a polar opposite of what the hell is going on. And it seems like it's all of us. So I don't know if it's a generational thing, if it's an age thing.
I think it's a combination of those both. Because I feel like throughout history, or at least, like written and like entertainment and whatnot, like women of a certain age all of a sudden don't want to take the authority, are more themselves. But at the same time, I do definitely think it has something to do with our generation too, because we grew up in a really weird time because we were inundated from a young age from all avenues to be a certain type of way. And now we live in a time where, oh my God, why are you being a certain type of way? So it's like, it puts us in a very weird and often uncomfortable position, I think, because the way we were raised, what the basis of who we've been this whole time has really been to be like fit into whatever categories or whatnot. And now the world is telling us, just be your fucking self.
Yeah.
We're like, what?
You're like, what? Who, me? I don't know if we can I don't know if the world is ready for me to be with.
Yeah, that is true. I think a lot of people are just angry for a lot of reasons.
I feel, and I feel like, we had with our parents, either our parents were together or they weren't.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I feel like now, like, pretty much nobody's parents are together.
Yeah.
And I feel like that has a whole different dynamic for the way the kids are and for the way our generation perceives marriage, because I don't think we're just not willing to take the kind of bullshit even our mothers took, and my mother didn't actually take bullshit.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So you tell me not to take shit, so I don't take shit, and when I don't take shit, I'm like, whoa, I'm angry.
Yeah.
So can I have one of the two then?
Yep.
Yeah.
So I don't know. So I decided to just be angry and fuck you. So that's where I'm at with it.
Hey, I feel like if that's what you're feeling, then that's what you should be. Like,
I'm angry about the shit that I didn't do because of the way I perceived the life that I was supposed to have had. And it didn't do me any good. And I wasn't happy in that life anyway. It didn't do me any good in the end. And here I am. So yeah, I'm super angry about the fact that I rolled over for people that wouldn't have fucking laid down for me.
right.
That's what part of our life is about, is being fucking pissed. Honestly, I know we kind of touched on it, but even like in therapy, that's what she tells me. She goes, "You were just brought up not be able to be fucking pissed. Women aren't allowed to be pissed." She goes, "Be fucking pissed and experience the full things associated with it, because when we internalize it, it ends up showing up as like back pain, neck pain, shit like that.
Yeah.
Fucking be pissed and be unapologetic about it."
She's a good therapist.
Yeah.
You can't move past it until you feel it and express it.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise it just sits and stews.
It manifests.
Yeah.
Yep. Yay, the human experience.
Yeah.
Insert finger guns here.
My friends' daughters and stuff, like these girls are talking to people like I wish I could have when I was their age. These girls are saying things to people, grown men, not giving up what anybody thinks. Like, just like, ew, you're nasty. Stop staring at me. Like, I'll be like, oh my God, stop. He's like, what? And I'm like, you know what? Don't stop. As a matter of fact, stop staring at her. Don't be an asshole. Yeah. So it's just like, I feel like these kids are like,
well,
you know what that is?
Different. There's something very different about
my son's the same way. I think we're raising them.
Yeah.
And we're raising them not to put up with the same shit that we put up with.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, we went through this shit. There's no way in hell you're going to go through this shit too. Stand up for yourself.
Yep, I agree. Absolutely.
Yeah.
He puts up with no shit. He doesn't even put up with shit for me. He's like, Mom, you're kind of being a bitch right now. And I'm just like, holy shit, I am. And I shouldn't be talking to you that
Holy
way.
shit, I am.
I know I am. I'll kill you if you say that to me again. But
See,
I don't get mad at him for it because he's not about it. You know what I mean? He talks to me the same way I talk to him. So we're really respectful. But I say to him, look, if I'm not being a good mom or I'm doing something that's upsetting you, you tell me about it. Don't let it upset you and not say anything.
Yeah.
You tell me so I don't do it again.
Yeah, which is something we couldn't do with our parents, that's for sure.
Fuck no. Oh my God. I would have got smacked in the face.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And that happened many times. Anne was there to see it. You know what I mean? So yeah, I couldn't even like remotely even like raise my voice in a joking way to my dad without getting in major trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Today we're going to talk about the generation that all of us are a part of, which is Generation X. I just want to start out with what is your idea? Like, what does being part of Generation X mean to you guys?
We get to be the coolest generation. I mean, we were around before internet.
Yep.
And then we got to see internet and we are where we are now. But I think we're the best generation so far.
I concur. I think it's kind of cool because I think especially us and our age range is at the sort of tail end of Gen X.
Yep.
So I think that we actually really do have the best of both worlds. We got to grow up in a time that, the whole street lights came on and we were feral, just really to say it, we were, but we also were able to evolve in still our younger years into the whole digital age. So I think that we're not quite as far behind the the 8 ball with that as maybe our parents are, but
right.
I still think that it's evolving. And, I get humbled when someone like my son or whatever will show me something. I'm like, I swear I knew that. Yeah. So, I think that's the fun part about our age range specifically is that we got the best of both worlds, I think.
Yeah. We just got to, this generation now, like our kids and the younger kids, like 16 and stuff, they don't go out and hang out with their friends and get in trouble and do horrible shit. You know what I mean?
Do horrible shit.
Yeah. And that was the best part of growing up, though. Just partying and having fun.
The trauma.
Yeah. Just everything was freedom. It really was freedom.
It was definitely trauma in a lot of ways, but it was part of, that was what made us who we are is really figuring it out on our own without having people really tell us.
I think that's why we have so much empathy.
Yeah.
Is because we're like, we went through hell. We weren't allowed to, couldn't go to therapy back then. Now we can. Now we go and we're like, oh, everything about me is a trauma response. Nice. These are coping mechanisms, not a personality.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I think we're very self-aware when it comes to mental health and our issues.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I think we're coming into that now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like for me, I don't know, our generation, another thing too with our generation, it's like a generation where it's like we had to be independent. Now I think we were one of the last generations where, or maybe even one of the only generations where it's not just men that are independent, but women as well.
Yes.
We had to sit there and take care of ourselves. It's like we didn't have, other people to sit there and either stick up for us or stand up for us or help us out or anything like that. And now it's like, people in the current generations, if they disagree with this, I'm sorry, but from my standpoint, it's like they need everything handed to them. They need, they need things to be, dumbed down or made easy, or they want it easy. They hate working. They hate, it's like there's like some people that I know that are a lot younger, and they're just like, oh my God, I can't work more than 12 hours. It's like, are you kidding me?
Don't become a parent.
I know, right? Oh my God, I can't even imagine, but it's like, because it's like, oh, I need to do things for me. I can't be working. I can't be doing this, and it's like, kind of like, I think we were really like the last generation of like, okay, yeah, no, we knew that we had to sit there and basically do things for ourselves independently and not rely on somebody else to do it for us. Like, I do know what though is
I think it's because we struggled so much. We struggled so much that we wanted to make sure our kids didn't, and it might have backfired on us.
Yeah. Because I will say, because I do, run this podcast that is, centered on the 90s and growing up in the 80s and being an X-er. I'm in a lot of groups on a lot of soundboards, and there's a lot of people who, complain about the younger generations, and I get it. Like, there's definitely things that are just, kids aren't the same as they used to, that all stuff. But I find it interesting that on all these message boards and all these groups, these people are complaining about these kids, and it's like, hey, I get it. Like, they aren't the same as we used to be, except for, some, obviously. But we raised them. Like everyone is complaining, like
you did this.
We are, and like even if you exactly aren't the one that raised the kid you're talking about, like I'm saying we as a generation, we were the ones that raised them. So
if I like, okay, so my son, we'll let him. We told him, live with us until you can afford to buy a house. I don't care if you're 40 years old.
Yep.
Don't rent and throw away your money.
Yep.
You know, live with us rent free. But he has a job. He doesn't ask for us to buy him anything. If he wants something, he works and saves up for it.
Right.
And he gets it himself. And he doesn't call out. He doesn't say, I don't want to work today. He goes. I mean, he's 16, but he's doing really good in school. He got into early college. He maintains his grade. I don't have to keep up with him on his homework. If he doesn't hand something in, he gets, you know, or if he forgets to hand something in, he gets really hard on himself and really upset by it because he doesn't, you know, he wants to do well. So I don't know if I'm doing a good job or not. I think he'll have a good work ethic when he gets older, but we also baby him on certain things.
Right. Yeah. We're kind of in the same boat where like our son, he did so good in school, like ridiculously, and now you know that because he took, you know, school was super hard on him, so he took some time off from school, but now he's, you know, looking into, it's crazy, computer science or neuroscience. Like,
that's awesome.
You know, and it was because we were like, hey, if you can't decide on what you want to do, and believe me, we all understand how hard it is to have this pressure to decide your entire life right now, you know. But so we were like, think of things that are easy for you if you can't think of things that you know for sure. And computer and neuroscience, which was just, we were like, oh well, okay. Like again, he did so good in school, like I mean like insanely like stupid good in school, so like it's not that big of a surprise, but it was just like a weird, like he's never brought it up, it's never been, he's just like, well, I know I could do it without really trying, so maybe I'll look into being raised, you know, in a super strict houses, both of us in different ways. We ended up trading the structure for the extra love because we had all of the structure and not enough love, you know what I mean? So like,
it's kind of what I was trying to tell my son. Like he's got his first job, and I don't want him to get caught up in the I have to have a job just to have a job.
Right.
You know, I'm like, I don't need you to have a job. I mean, it's fine that you want to buy your own things, but I don't necessarily need you to be like, go out, get a job. I can't give you the things, blah, blah. He just wants that independence, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
So it comes down to, I want him to do something then that he likes, that he actually wants to do, that he, you know, can really get behind. But he has like this work experience right now that isn't great.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is a perfect prime example of what I'm trying to tell you, is that you want to try this, you want to have the work experience, you want to have the, you know, and I get it. I get you want to get out there and do this kind of stuff. I don't want him to just not go to a job because he just doesn't like somebody, because there's an asshole everywhere we go. So we have to learn how to, in some cases, deal with those people, maybe not like it, and maybe not stay in that situation because we feel like we have to, but also realize that, you know, this is not how it works.
Right.
This is not supposed to go.
And I think that's the balance that we need to find with the younger generation, because as Esther was saying, there are so many of them that don't want to do things, that feel entitled to certain things. But at the same time, like, we do know and understand that there are situations where they shouldn't keep themselves just because it's something that is, you know, expected, or, you know, a job is required or whatnot. Like, think that there needs to be some balance of, you know, the difference of what are some things that are unpleasant you have to stick with, and what are some things that are toxic and you should not stick with. You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly. That's exactly what I'm trying to sort of instill in that, because it can just be, like, I don't want him to feel like it's okay to just quit somewhere.
There just are some things, and as unpleasant as it is, some things just do have to be sucked up. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we are in a transition period of thought processes and the way that our community and society as a whole function. So and transitions are always chaotic, and they're always the hardest on those generations or those groups of people that are going through and have to invoke the transition, so it's like, it sucks. Like, we are in a good spot because we're Gen X, and like we grew up in a time that was so free, but it is also hard being who we are, I think, and knowing that we do have to a point, force certain actions on our younger counterpoints, and and I don't mean in a malicious way, because then I think that that's where we have a hard time as a society to see the difference, is that, like, just because something doesn't feel the best, and and this is hard, this is like a tricky situation, because like you don't want anyone to stay in a situation that's bad or doesn't feel good, right? But life is what life is, and there are just things that suck. And I feel like that's where a lot, especially our generation, is having a hard time with this transition, because we get it. We were forced by so many people and so many angles to be so much or to do so much, and like, so we get that want to not follow and not conform and not follow the ick that we're feeling.
Yeah, it definitely is. You don't want to baby them, but you don't want to. You're trying to break those chains of, do what you have to do. It doesn't matter how you are, who you are, what you're doing. You have to do what you have to do.
I don't know. I think we're in a weird spot, and I don't know if it's just because we're aging, and that's what happens as a generation gets older, is that we become removed from the younger generation's experiences, or if we have a harder spot because we did experience what we experienced and are now living in what we are living in now. Looking back, what are some of the defining moments or events from the 80s or 90s that you feel had a significant impact on our generation?
I think the Challenger.
Yes.
That was a huge. I think that was the first. I mean, obviously for us, it was the first, where were you when this happened? I think that was the first, real big dramatic public display that we went through as a whole generation. And I thought it made me think of it because I just watched the documentary on it, and I just wanted to cry all over again.
Yeah.
Also, we didn't go through a lot of, like, our parents, they went through a lot of stuff. They've seen a lot of things, Vietnam War, all this other stuff. We really didn't see much of that. I know the Iraq War was going on, but that really wasn't televised as much as stuff is now. I think 9/11 was the thing that I think impacted us. I know it's happened later, but I think that
we were still really young. Yeah.
I mean, I feel like, that was still over 20. How long now? I don't even know.
Yeah. I mean, I had kids in school at that point, which was petrifying.
I was in college for academy.
Yeah, I mean, I just was out of college. I remember freaking out, my dad saying, you've never really had to go through any of this kind of trauma like other generations have.
Well, I feel like our generation definitely had some, though. Like, before we had the Challenger, which we all watched in school, in elementary school. Before that, we watched Ronald Reagan get shot.
I remember I really liked him. He reminded me of my grandpa.
God, me
that
too.
happened, I lost my mind. I was so upset.
Same. And especially because our generation also, like, politics wise, like, the president of the United States was like almost,
who's actually well respected at that point.
Yeah. So like the idea that someone wanted to kill him was just traumatizing. And then we had
Listen, I lost my mind when Steve Irwin died. Okay, so that was Steve Irwin.
Oh my God!
Steven,
Yeah, that was really. Let me
was
tell you, that was
devastating.
like America's father died.
I cried so hard.
Yep. Me too, girl.
Yeah.
I was like, that was my dad, but Australian, so you can all just
Exactly.
We also had, for significance, we had the Berlin Wall come down too.
That was I was just gonna say, we had some really less traumatic but really neat things happen.
I think I was in 7th or 8th grade when that happened.
Yeah, it was 1989.
Okay.
It doesn't have to just happen to us as children. All I keep thinking about is that all these things keep freaking happening in our lifetimes. If you think of it as a whole, like I think collectively our trauma level is pretty freaking high.
Oh yeah.
Right.
We'll also think about the things that we were taught to be scared of. Not only, was the president being shot and, astronauts were blowing up, but there was, just the everyday stranger danger with the vans and the kids on the
we were on milk cartons for crying out loud.
And then there
it wasn't a joke.
No, and then there was like the the razor blades and pins in our candy, and then there was the quicksand Bermuda Triangle. Everyone thought we were gonna catch on fire. Like, there was so much stuff. And then of course, the more serious stuff like AIDS was such a scare thing at that time too, that like it made sex scary. Like, there was a lot. And don't forget that we were young enough, young adults, when they started talking about Y2K. And like,
oh yeah, the world was going to end. Yep.
We were going down, man. We were all imploding. It was happening. We stocked up on our toilet paper then too. We just all forgot.
I just remember just being my anxiety level so high and just panic attacks all the time. Multiple times a day. I don't know if my son's generation has to worry about this, but I worried about getting beat up all the time. Like, school was a nightmare.
That's because that's how we handled that.
Yeah, but then as adults, then we have kids and we're sending them to school and they're getting shot. Do you know what I mean? Like, I had a constant level of anxiety the whole time my kids were in school because I was terrified because it was always on the news.
I think is even so. Most of us were already parents by that point when that happened.
When Columbine was in the 90s.
When whatchamacallit happened. I mean, Sandy Hook. When
we don't have to be scared for ourselves. We're scared for our kids.
All parents, I think, and immediately it was just like I wanted to go get my son immediately, even though I knew he was safe. He was just a little bean at the time, and I just couldn't fathom.
I'd rather be scared for myself than be scared for my child. Worry about my child.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that was definitely, I think the only ever shooting we ever really learned about before that was like Texas A&M. It was so far off because it was in the 70s.
Yeah, well, and Berkeley. Berkeley was another one that they taught us about, but that also was again, it was in the 70s or whatever, the 60s. So it was another removed thing. We also had the LA riots and the whole Rodney King thing that happened. Yes. And we were
OJ and Rodney King were the big thing when we were in that part of our prime, that high school prime.
Okay, so Generation X is often characterized as being independent and resourceful. How do you see these traits reflected in your own life or in the lives of your peers?
I will fix anything that is wrong in my house. I will not pay somebody to do it. If I need to rewire a lamp or install a dishwasher, I do it all.
Yep.
Yes.
But my kids never paid for anything. They did it themselves too,
Yeah.
But I have a friend that's a generation before us, and she doesn't do shit. Like, she calls me tool-time Martha Stewart because I cook and then I also fix things. And she'll be like, can you come over to my house and can you fix this? Can you fix this? because her freaking husband doesn't do it either. And I think he is a Generation X because he's only a couple of years older than me.
Oh, there you
So
go.
he's a Generation X and she's like a generation above. And it's like, he doesn't do shit. And I go over and I do everything.
Yeah, my husband doesn't do. I mean, he doesn't do. He couldn't do it if he. I feel so bad saying this. He doesn't know how to use any tools. All the tools in the house are mine.
Just pretty to look at.
He's beautiful. But I do it all. I do it all, and I love it. I'm not like bitter about it or anything. I love it.
Yeah.
Do you think that's a male thing with Generation X?
I don't know. It might be, but it's not like
That's
he's
had
not
to step up to the
lazy.
plate.
He just
No.
He grew up in a boarding school, so it wasn't like
that. Yeah.
You know what I mean? He just didn't have anything to go by or teach him how to do it.
Yeah. See, Dave.
I was self-taught. I didn't have anyone to teach me either.
No.
But boarding, I think boarding school is like a whole new like culture. You know what I mean? Like it's completely different from like how we grew up. I know Dave has so many tools, it's ridiculous. And like I don't know how many like old Jeeps he's gotten and just like made them come to life. And he tells me what he does and I'm just like, okay, car parts.
That's awesome.
But also, can we discuss the fact that our need to fix everything and do everything ourselves is called hyperindependence, and it's a coping mechanism for trauma?
Yeah, no, that is true.
A freaking trauma response.
See, I think again we've come to the conclusion that trauma is the base of our generation. So
yes,
100%. Yeah, because no one was watching us, and we were all in the streets getting molested and freaking almost dying, and everything else that like we all just have trauma.
Yeah, and getting shamed for that trauma happening to us. It was our fault somehow.
Oh yeah.
Well,
and you know what? I think our generation is possibly even the first one where we are recognizing that we've had trauma that's causing a lot of our behaviors.
Yeah.
Because I know my mom, like her generation, I know she's had a lot of traumas.
Oh
but she's still in denial.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, mine too.
Yeah, so I think we're the first generation possibly that's like, hey, you know what, this is why we're acting this way, and this is why I have these feelings. Whereas, you know, I think older generations, they just hit it because they still have that embarrassment kind of thing. Like, oh my gosh, you know, that like stigma like we had mentioned before.
I kind of unwittingly laid into my mom about me and a job and things like that. And she's like, you have to get a job. I said, listen, I was so all set doing what I was doing that I never got the opportunity to do what I wanted to do.
Right.
Because it was always so instilled in me to do what I had to do. I wasn't allowed to do what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And it was kind of funny because, you know, my mom is a spitfire and she doesn't like, we'll go back and forth. And she was kind of like, you know what, you're right. I didn't let you, you know, do these things. And I kind of like, we were talking about money and financing. I was like, you never taught me about money. I just knew that I had to have credit someday. I didn't know anything that was going on whatsoever. I said, and I struggle now with money because I never had good habits. I never had good anything to be able to even be like, look back on and say, yeah, my parents did this, my parents did that. Because neither one of them were great with money either.
Yeah.
Well into their adulthood. So I didn't have great, you know, representations of what I was supposed to be doing. Yeah. And, you know, that was the whole thing. And so it was a whole conversation with us about it. She's like, you know, she was kind of admittedly wrong, and it was kind of nice to be able to talk to her like that. And I'd be like, this fucked me up. I mean, game changers that I could have gone through had I had a different mindset in my life. And so it was an interesting conversation with her because she said, well, I wasn't really allowed to do that in my life, so I didn't really allow anybody to do it in theirs.
We passed down our traumas and the things we've learned as survival traits to the younger generation, unless we actively break the cycle.
The other day I had a conversation with my mother, and it's so funny because she has literally turned into my main hype person. She's like, you want to do that? Do that. You don't want to be married? Don't be married. What do you want to do? What's going to make you happy? And I think it's because she couldn't. So now she wants all of that for me, you know. And I feel bad because there's lots of times where I'm like, you really had it rough. Like the stories slowly start coming out over the years.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I feel so bad. And I'm like, why don't you guys get the therapy? Why don't you express your rage? Like when she's like, I just can't. And it like breaks my heart. And that's why I'm always like, the other day, the little one here freaking scared the shit out of me because I hear bang, bang, bang. I was like, what the hell was that? And it turns out like she was filled with rage and needed to punch something. And I was like, oh, all right, go ahead, girl, do your thing. Like, fucking punch some shit, girl. You feel better? All right. Like, don't keep anything in. We're not keeping shit in anymore.
Nope, let it out.
Breaking all that generational bullshit. You like express your feelings, girl.
Yep, that's how we are in this house too.
Yeah. Feel them emotions. Feel them. Everybody's in therapy, and you're going to therapy, and you're going to therapy. Everybody go to therapy. Ain't fucking around. No more carrying that generational shit down. We ain't doing that.
Nope.
But I think that's what our generation does too. Is we were like, oh, I understand why my parents are fucked up. I understand why I'm fucked up. Maybe we got a little too soft on the youngins, but you know what? We're eventually we'll figure it out.
We will.
Yeah.
And I remember
at least we were willing to change.
Right.
You know?
And I remember us when we were younger saying that these are things we'll never do to our kids.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
well, I think that has a lot to do with what we did as parents is, you know, we didn't want to do the same things that our parents did to us.
Yeah. And they only did the things they did to us because they didn't know any better either. Like I said,
exactly.
I keep hearing shit about my parents that I had no freaking idea, like from their siblings or from other family. I'm like, what the hell? Like, what the hell? Just It's not like it makes it okay, but it's like one of those things where it's like, I get it.
Yeah, it makes it. I like to say it's not an excuse, but it's an explanation.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if we understand it, then it's easier for us to heal.
Yes.
And accept, you know, I mean, it's important to talk about stuff.
Yeah. They didn't treat us the way they did because they didn't love us. They treated us the way they did because that's all they had to work with.
Yeah, they didn't know any better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They didn't have therapy.
No. And they
were only ever taught shame when it came to their feelings.
God, yeah, shame is a big one.
Yeah.
Yeah. What were some of the iconic toys or games that you think were prominent in our era?
Oh my God, wait, I gotta say it. I just literally saw a TikTok of this kid who was like talking about the toy that traumatized all of Generation X, and it was Operation. And he's like, I don't understand why you guys are so worked up about it. And then he like started to play the game. He's like, what the hell is this shit?
And
no wonder you all have anxiety.
And
and perfection.
Was it
perfection?
Yep. Yeah, everything jumped out at us and zapped us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Torture toys. There was freaking lawn darts, for Christ's sake.
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't it crazy that like the grown-ups to us, like they needed to be told that giant darts being thrown back and forth was not a good idea. Like they had to be told that.
Yeah, everything could kill us when we were growing up. Everything.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Action Park. I don't know if any of you guys ever went there, but Action Park.
Oh, I know.
Okay, so that theme song lives rent free in my head. Park. Action, park.
Yes. And that thing got shut down from one of the most dangerous places.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, you don't know about that? Oh, you have to. You gotta Google search Action Park.
There's a documentary about it.
Oh my God, are you fucking serious?
There's a documentary about it.
Yes, that was one of the most dangerous amusement parks ever made.
A lot of people died.
Oh my God.
I remember going up on the little ski lift where the alpine slide was, or like the alpine like thing where you rode in those little tiny, I don't know, it's like a piece of plastic with 4 wheels and a brake that didn't hardly ever work.
Yes.
And I remember going up there and being so scared. And I think I was only like 9 years old. But I was so scared because there was this person that was coming around a corner on that cement alpine slide. And they went flying off. Like this person just wiped out on the cement. I was just like, holy shit. I'm like, did you see that? And so when I went down, I was so scared because I thought I was going to be like that. And then I remember there was like a cliff jump, and like you just dropped from like some huge cliff. And so you just jumped down, and I remember it's like I was trying to hold my nose, and it was like all the water just like went completely like in my lungs and my nose. It was just like
it was terrible.
Didn't somewhere in Hartford have an alpine slide? Like if you were driving on the highway, like
to be honest, my mom never drove. She had too many kids in the damn house.
Yeah.
It was like you can't put all 12 kids or 8 kids in a freaking 4-seater car.
No.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, you gotta go somewhere. You either get a ride or you walk. And no, you can't walk because someone's gonna steal you.
Yep.
So I'm like, all right, I'll go play in the fucking woods. Bye.
God, 12 kids. Can you imagine having 12 kids?
No. Ugh, no.
Oh.
No. Never. No. No.
How do you give them all
and it literally was in the morning, eat your cereal, you're done with your cereal, get outside, and the door was locked. You could not come back in until the street lights came on, and that was when, hey, the door's unlocked.
Yeah.
And they wonder why we got pregnant in high school.
And then when you're a teenager, it's like, oh, hey, I want you home before the street lights come on now because you're going to be out and getting pregnant.
Too late.
It was right, but it really happened. They were true. They were actually telling the truth, but we were not going to listen because, we knew everything.
Well, we were raising ourselves, and then all of a sudden they want to raise us?
I know, right? It's like, get out of the house. I want to stay out of the house. No, you get in the house.
Right. It's like, woman, I've been my own parent this whole time. Now you're trying to tell me what to do? Nope.
We're feral.
We are.
Can't train us now. It's not going to work.
We're still feral.
Yeah.
I don't know about anybody else, but like creepy freaking movies have been, I don't know if it's like the generational thing, but I love freaking creepy movies.
Oh, yeah.
Like Exorcist and like The Predator and Terminator and,
I totally think our whole generation was raised on Michael Myers and Freddy.
Yeah.
We're a different kind of scary people.
That's how we knew we were alive.
Well, I mean, even at our children's movies, they weren't exactly not scary. Like the Last Unicorn, love it to death, but scary as fuck, right? Like that heartbeat was not cool.
Yeah.
And then it was like,
Mom's like, here, watch this movie. It's called The Dark Crystal. It'll be great.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, never ending story.
Yeah,
and
the world's gonna end.
What about the Rats of Nim or whatever the hell
Secret
that
of Nim.
was?
I love that movie.
I love that movie, but it was so scary. And then like Labyrinth, it's like Jim Henson, and it's funny.
Beautiful.
And haha.
Like, oh yeah, Muppets. Oh whoa.
Like, and then those Muppets with the freaking heads that they're
come
juggling.
Off. I'm gonna take your head off, lady. But you know what I think it was? I think the reason why we like those kind of movies, horror movies, so much is because our lives, we were so anxious, anxiety-ridden, and scared all the time. That was the kind of scared that we could control.
Yeah, no, you are definitely right.
Yeah. It's like all of our movies had to have like some kind of like anxiety or some kind of like adrenaline driving thing to it.
Yeah, we're like, oh, our life isn't so bad. These things aren't trying to pull our heads off.
Right. I wanted to live in Labyrinth. I'm like, I'll live there. I'll be a lot happier than I am now.
I know, right? Right, yeah. I remember being confused as to like, why did she want to wake up? Look at her dress, and she's dancing with David Bowie. I don't understand the problem here.
I mean, that's why I love dominant men the way I like them. It started with him.
Right.
At the end when he's like, fear me, love me, and I will be your slave. I'm like, yes.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Yes. Just yes.
That was that definitely
sounding. Yes.
Yeah. And looks like you. Okay.
Yeah.
Where
As long as you wear what you're wearing right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, please. Oh, David Bowie.
I miss him. He was beautiful.
Right? Seriously. Okay, well, on the David Bowie thing, the next question is, how did the music of the era, so being the 80s and the 90s, shape you and your earlier years, like your kid and teen years? Is there any specific songs or artists that left a lasting impression?
Hell yeah. Well, first of all, I don't know about you guys, but I hated 80s music while it was happening. I like it now, but I was 60s and 70s all the way until, of course, 91 when freaking you got Nirvana and Pearl Jam and Radiohead and Soundgarden. I'm missing a couple other
Alice in
Chains. Thank you. That changed everything. That was music that we've never heard before, and it was so good. And I remember us driving around with some other of our friends, like our guy friends, and just driving around listening to the radio, waiting for certain songs to come on.
Yeah.
So we could sing them, you know? It was just...
We made our mixtapes.
Yes. Mixtapes. Sitting by the radio, just waiting for the song that you wanted so you could play and record at the same time.
Yeah.
Yep. That's it. Yeah. I can remember sitting in my room, just, I don't know what it was. I was probably like, I don't know, 13 maybe. And I was just absolutely obsessed with Nobody's Fool from Cinderella.
Oh, he was beautiful, wasn't he?
In that song, he was just so pretty.
Like
there were just certain guys to me that were so pretty. It was just like, I might be gay. I don't know what this is. I like it.
Hey, I insisted Boy George was a girl. Like, I would not believe that it was a guy, no matter what anybody told me.
Too pretty.
He's just too pretty, yeah.
So do you guys think that the emergence, or how did the emergence of MTV and music videos in the 80s and 90s like shape your music experience?
Oh, I realized that like my body and like anything that I can do would never surmount to what they can do on TV.
I think that was our social media of the time of, who's Tawny Katane? Like, come on, who's going to be able to ride around on the hood of a car and not dent it, it'll fall off. And be able to just do splits with this glorious hair.
They were able to do, like they like danced beautifully, and then we tried doing it, and it was like something from like a fail. You know what I mean? It was so horrible, and it's like, how do these people know how to do this? I can't do it, and then it was like utter failure.
Yeah,
I just loved watching the videos. It was like, I don't know how to explain it. It was like a warm hug or something. I don't know. I was obsessed with MTV.
Kurt Loder was just like, he was my comfort. It was like as soon as you heard the MTV news, you were like, yes.
Yeah.
Well, I think, Anne, you hit it on the head. It was kind of our social media in the fact that, like, so if you went over to someone's house, what would you put on? Usually MTV in the background. Yep. At school, what would people be talking about? Oh, the videos they watched on MTV, Big cultural
say to me, did you watch this video? I'm like, they still do that? Where do you watch videos? You got to go to YouTube. I'm like, that's way too much work.
Yep. I just want to channel.
Yeah. Yeah, but even through our experience with MTV, it shifted greatly from when it came out in the early 80s. To what it was, our junior, senior year of high school, it turned into more shows. I mean, there were definitely videos on there. There was, Still Headbangers Ball. There was Yo MTV Raps. There was the Countdown. TRL. But then they started to do more of the shows like Real World.
Yeah, those Real World shows. That first Real World show was the one to take MTV down for sure.
Yeah. And then, Do you remember they also had the game shows like Single Cow and Control and like
Colin Quinn. Oh my God, I love that piece of shit. I don't know why. He was such an asshole, but I was like, I love this guy.
But how did MTV impact your life, I guess?
I don't know. I was an only child, so it was like a sibling, you know. I mean, only child, parents kind of not around a lot, so it was just me and MTV.
Yeah,
it's my comfort.
Really, yeah, exactly. It was definitely the comfort zone of what's going on, especially I don't know, I want to say like in the teen years. Like I'll never forget, like it started to get crazy with like the heavy metal, like that was where I really was able to like recognize who singers were. I find myself these days, like I don't know, I wouldn't know certain singers if I passed them on the street. You know, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Who some of my absolute favorite people are. If I didn't watch them on MTV, I wouldn't know. So it's like now there's certain, you know, people that I love this music, and I'm like, I don't know what they look like. I'm like, oh, that's that dude. I feel like a jerk. Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
I couldn't watch it all the time because my parents would sit there and I was in a house with how many people? My mom would be like, turn that shit off. And there's only like a couple of TVs, you know? And so it was like Wheel of Fortune would be on, or like, you know, Unsolved Mysteries or some other crap, you know, Dateline. And I'm sitting there watching that stuff, and Archie Bunker and freaking
Archie Bunker.
You know, or Sanford and Son, you know, so it's like that kind of stuff. And Little House on the Prairie on repeat all day long, you know. So MTV, like I would sit there and I would start watching it, maybe watch like 20, 30 minutes before I'm like, turn that shit off, give me the box.
I was lucky enough to grow up with a musician, so to have music on, it was really he would look at it and be like, what the hell are you listening to, watching? What is that?
Yeah.
You know, he would always, you know, make fun of like Poison and everybody for the hair and the makeup.
Yeah.
And he's like, he's got more makeup on than you. I'm like, shut up.
Hey, that's when men were men.
He was
yeah, right.
Okay.
Yeah, how about you, Lily? How did MTV impact you?
I didn't.
I was in the woods getting freaking shampoo, like snow shampoo things from my neighbor.
Or we were getting chased by your brother on a quad who tried to kill us.
Your brother always
running around in the woods. That's the only thing I remember about my childhood, running around in the damn woods.
Yeah, trying to avoid her 5,000 siblings.
Did you have any notable fashion phases or trends from the era that stick out? And I know for a fact that every single one of us needs to come clean about the hair, because we all at the very least hair. Yeah.
The little bows on the back of the bottom of our pants. Remember that? The jeans with the little bows at the back of the bottom with the little zipper?
Yeah.
Or the zipper.
Yeah. Those were like our generation's version of the skinny jeans.
Yes. And I hated that. I was never a fan. It was funny because during most of that time, I was my mom was like thrift store.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't, so I was in tie-dyes all the time. And I was in that kind of
hippie grunge phase.
Yeah. We all did hippie grunge.
Yeah, it was definitely not like, I was never I hated wearing jeans, so I was always in skirts, the long skirts and
flowy
stuff like that.
Skirt,
I didn't like sneakers, and I didn't like form-fitting clothes. I was never comfortable enough in my skin. So it's kind of funny because I just my fashion sense was, hey, this fits. So I kind of got made fun of a little bit because of that, because I didn't really give a shit what I
was the same way.
Well, I think too, especially our later teenage years, grunge was such a big thing.
See, that's
and
when
it
I
was
really
like,
was in my stride because I didn't give a shit. It was
No,
because
yeah.
it was comfort over expectation of others.
Yeah.
Dude, I wore boxer shorts with the crotch sewed up to school.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
from
and remember my jeans with the fishnet
Yes.
and the thighs? And I would wear t-shirts that would touch the tops and be like, oh my God, it was fishnet all the way up. Like, yeah, idiot. I fucking wore fishnet fucking pants.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think some other trends that we definitely were part of were like, the pegged jeans where we folded it.
Yeah.
Folded the bottom of our
I was
jeans.
never cool enough to be in that category. I didn't become cool until grunge was a thing.
Yeah.
With my
and then
I was cool. I just did it.
There was like banana clips, which apparently are coming back into style.
Listen, I have to say, I tried one on and I was like, I don't care. Through the ages, my hair has looked slamming in a banana clip.
My hair's too straight.
I cannot and I will not. My hair.
They will not. They will not stay in my hair.
Either.
And in the 80s, I was so sad. And my mom was like, I'm not buying you another one. It doesn't stay in your hair. And I'm like, but everyone is wearing them, Mom.
Yeah, no, for whatever reason.
Mom, you're ruining my life.
Yeah. And then jelly bracelets. That was a big thing
those.
when we were younger. And the jelly shoes that always smelled after a while.
Yeah.
And like the leggings with the little strappy things that go under your
yes.
foot.
Yeah, the stirrup pants.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
I love
those. Yep. And then those skirts. Yes, and then the skirts, the top of them were like the jean skirt, and then like partway down they like frilled out.
I love those. And jean jackets in different colors. We were never rich enough or had enough money to get that kind of stuff. But
yeah, me neither. Yeah. So I think we wore some hypercolor too.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God! Right.
My 10th grade picture I'm wearing
probably
one
my favorite.
Yeah.
Jackets.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep. And Eastland shoes people used to wear all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I was so happy.
Champions.
Yeah. And do you know what's interesting about Champion and bum equipment is, so when we were in junior high and the very beginning of high school, Champion was like a big deal. Bum was a big deal. Those were the brands people were wearing.
Yeah.
Apparently in other parts of the country, they were known as like the poor people's trash clothes.
Apparently, yes.
That makes sense.
Yep.
Like, what the hell? So all of us in New England were like, oh my God, I'm so cool. Look at my Champion sweatshirt. And the rest of the country was like, look at those freaking bumpkin losers.
Yeah, they're very not as high end as we anticipated.
It's so, isn't it weird? Because it was like a frenzy at the time.
Oh yeah. I thought people were rich that wore those things.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember getting because my mom wouldn't buy me the real Champion sweatshirts that were heavy and had that ribbing on the side and whatever. Yeah. And I was so upset. And then we went somewhere and we found some that were on sale. And she's like, okay, I'm going to buy this for you. And I was so thrilled that I could finally join the pack and just my sad little disheartened freaking soul of a middle-aged woman just when I found out that the rest of the world were like, yeah, that's hobo trash.
I still liked it. It was comfy.
Yes.
It was comfy.
Yeah. I would always steal Anne's stuff. I would steal all her tie-dyes and all her bum sweatshirt, and that all ended up in my drawer.
Which is funny because when we were just talking about the skinny jeans with the zippers and the ties and all that kind of stuff, I used to steal yours. Because my parents wouldn't buy that stuff for me, so I got it from you.
Well, there you go. I mean, that's how it should be, right?
Yeah, totally. Oh, it's so funny. So funny. I just had a thought and then I lost it.
That happens all the time.
Oh, this old lady brain fog, let me tell you.
It sucks.
It's like sometimes I wonder, am I actually going to forget who I am one of these days?
I swear, I've been around too many dementiatic patients and people with Alzheimer's to think that I'm not halfway there.
Right?
Listen, that's why I forgot high school, so I had room for stuff for now.
Especially because, like, I think about how much partying we all did in our formative years, and like, is that gonna make it worse later on?
I think we pickled our brains. I think we're safe.
Yeah. From here on out, we should be okay.
Yeah. My
with
husband
that.
and I went to say something at the same exact time this afternoon. So I let him go and say it. And then he goes, "What were you going to say?" I went, it left as fast as it came in. I had no clue what I was going to say.
True. That is so true. That happens all the time. Did any of you have any idols or role models from the world of entertainment? Like, I know that we all had, like, you know, an aunt or a grandmother or a mom or a dad that we thought were the best, but I mean culturally, like, who is someone that impacted you from the public eye, but like impacted you as a person?
Well,
from the 80s, 90s.
I can speak for Anne, but it wasn't 80s, 90s.
No.
It was Janis Joplin. And I remember sitting in her apartment and we watched The Rose.
Yes.
Multiple times. And
So
same thing with The Doors. That movie.
My mom always said I was just born in the wrong era. And I really feel like that because, again, like my fashion sense, my thought process, everything about me was not of my generation.
Yeah, I don't know if I musically had an idol. I just know that my favorite band was Beatles. It still is. And I listened to...
And I can attest to waking up on Sunday mornings to a deafening sound of, get up, get out of bed.
Yep.
Okay, we're coming.
I don't know. I don't really know if I had any kind of role model growing up. I was just kind of just me, just struggling to figure out who that was.
Right.
I don't know. Did our generations really have role models, or is that something that's now
I
a thing?
feel like maybe like I mean, when I was little, I guess, but like Madonna was one for our generation, I would think. She, you know, definitely invoked the whole girl power kind of like sexuality thing for our generation, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, not now, but back then.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. I feel like she was definitely a front runner of what our parents kind of didn't want us to model after, and
right,
you know, it was like, oh no. And I think
but all of us girls, and we were young when she first came out. I think it was like 84 or 85. You know, I remember personally like wearing the shirts that like kind of went off the shoulder a little bit, wearing, you know, the scarf tied in my hair, and like just wanting to like be her, and like the fingerless gloves, like lace gloves.
Those are probably one of the only things fashion wise that I was like, I must have this. I must do this.
I love those witchy shoes. You know, like the black boots that went to your ankle and they had the little heel.
Oh yeah,
those I loved.
My role model, this is Esther. My role model wasn't really like someone from a band or anything like that. It was from TV. Yeah. And like they were, so Sarah from the Terminator, that was Ripley from from Aliens, and then G.I. Jane. Like those were such like strong, badass freaking women, and those were like my role models.
That explains a lot about you today.
Yeah, it really does.
Yeah, because like, I mean, I just remember like say like Sarah in the Terminator when she just like got in the Jeep and she just freaking drove off like ready to take on the freaking whole like world there. I was just like, that's freaking badass. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that was awesome. Yeah, how about you, Lily?
Mr. Rogers and Steve Irwin.
Yeah. She's like, the answer for everything is Steve Irwin.
Steve Irwin!
All of it, Steve Irwin.
Mr. Rogers. Because he taught me to just love people, even if they're assholes. They do that to this day. And Steve Irwin's like, yes, stop and touch everything.
Yeah.
So I am always in the woods touching everything.
How about, were there any books from the 80s or, 90s in your teenage years that had a lasting impression on you? And I know personally that I'm asking this because there's like Super Fudge when we were kids, or, Tales of the Fourth Grade, Nothing Like Judy Blume books were big. Babysitter's Club books were big. Like that kind of stuff.
Revere. Mine was Paul Revere, where he burned his hand in the fire and got all scarred.
Johnny Tremaine.
Yes.
That was Johnny Tremaine?
Yeah, he was working for Paul Revere or something with the silversmithing.
Yes. That.
Yeah. I remember that.
Lord of the Flies. Like I wasn't so much of a big reader in my younger years. I didn't have a lot of that I remember. I blocked a lot of that out because I was in the hospital a lot. So I don't really remember that much. But like in high school, definitely The Great Gatsby, like the kind of the classics that we read. Like really were like, wow, these are actually really good books when I actually sat down and freaking read them like I was supposed to. They were actually pretty good books because I wasn't really an avid reader until my probably late teens, early 20s.
Yeah, I think in high school, the Vampire Chronicles and Rice were huge for me.
See, they were, and I just did not read them back then. I didn't read any of those until I was in my 20s, and I devoured every one of her books. As soon as I started, I was like, oh, this is okay. This is cool.
I didn't start reading until I met my husband. He was a bookworm, and I'm like, what's so great about books? And now I'm like, I can't survive without a book.
That's funny. I remember finding one of my mom's trashy romance novels. That's my first memory of like hiding in the room with it. Like, what the hell?
The best.
I actually used to look for my grandmother's smut novels and then like find the sections that like said like peen, or whatever, and I'm like, it's throbbing. I don't really know what that means, but
I still don't know what that means.
Like I can make it throb if you really want me to punch you in it again.
I was like, what am I looking for? I don't understand.
Like, why does it sound painful?
If that thing starts pulsating at me, I'm out.
Weird terminology.
I always felt funny reading those. I always felt like I was watching somebody else's porn, so I just couldn't.
They're great. They're the best.
And I still, for whatever reason, it's like watching porn. I can 5 seconds and I'm like, what are we doing? Where are we going? Somebody? Anybody, please.
I'm actually the same as you.
Do it.
I
can't read a whole book.
You gotta find the ones with the good writers, you know what I mean? That write like a good plot and they're just good writers, but have a little bit of that in there.
Porn too. So
some guys like washing dishes or mopping the floor and folding laundry.
That's a great plot. Those are the best plots.
All you need, right? It's the only plot I need. Bend over. What?
Yeah, and his little apron. And be
Not
like,
for
now
us,
that the
for
house
him.
is clean. Yeah, now the house is clean. Can I service you? Yes, you can.
Yes,
oh my God, thank you.
Yeah. See,
we should start with a foot rub.
See, we just have to collaborate and write a modern,
perfect novel.
Yeah. It would be mostly just them servicing us by doing household chores.
It was so funny because one guy sent me a nude, but he had a vacuum cleaner like in front of him. This is the best. This is the only way I want nudes sent to me.
Right? Oh my God, that's perfect.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious.
Oh yeah,
bury
he's
'em.
like doing some spring cleaning. I was like, that's it. That's the one. That's my favorite right there.
Oh.
How did the school experiences of the 80s and 90s differ from what you see today?
We had a smoking section.
We had a smoking
Yeah,
section.
not the same.
None of the doors were locked on the school. You could leave that school in 100 different locations,
And we
nobody
did.
noticed.
And we did.
And we did.
Yeah, you could just walk right out and walk home, and nobody noticed. Nobody called your parents.
Nope.
Yeah.
No, unless you were me.
First.
Yeah,
Yeah.
go to homeroom. That's it.
And then you could leave, and nobody would care.
Yep.
Yep.
You could fail your classes and still graduate.
Gym was so easy to fake though, because at the end of the semester they'd hand out your activity card, which was just like a calendar with little dots to say that you were there in attendance.
Mhm.
So I would just bring in like a little like mini golf pencil, and when they would pass it out, I would just dot enough days that I passed
That's
and
fucking
did fine.
genius.
Listen,
Like-
I really wish I thought of that.
Right? I had to
I'll
take
tell you what.
I had to
I had
take
my
junior and
periods so
senior
much.
gym my senior year. I had to take junior and senior gym.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, that's horrible.
The last day of junior year, for the last 2 weeks, I had to take gym twice a week to pass.
Oh, I hate it.
Oh
I
man.
hate it. No.
I'll never forget one of the gym teachers like, "You got cramps now?" "Yes, bitch, I do."
Yes, I do.
"Would you like to experience them? Because I'll kick you where it counts."
Right.
So, what was your go-to hangout spots or activities during your teen years?
The woods.
Come on, I think we're all in the same place, ladies. Should we say it all at once?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
overflow.
Overflow,
The
yeah.
overflow. Or the pit.
Or the
pit.
pit.
Do you hear what happened in the pit?
What?
No.
Have you driven by there?
No.
Okay, so for my out-of-towners, they decided to dig up the pit.
What?
Do you know that they found 3 buried cars?
Oh, God, they did not find them.
Yes, ma'am, they did.
Oh, my God.
Yes. So
Oh
they
my
dug
God.
up the pits, ladies. I could not, I was astounded.
Oh, my God.
I was like, oh boy, we're all in trouble now. I could not believe it. I was like, I might hide for a few months. I don't know.
The amount of like
DNA in there.
Boone's bottles
yeah.
and wine cooler bottles they must have dug up.
Whew.
All the Zima bottles are there. All of them.
All of them. I'm like, where's my home going? I'm like, I don't even want to drive through this town anymore.
I know the overflow's gone. Now the pit's gone.
When I realized the overflow was gone, I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Did I just, where am I? I'm like, I'm far past where the entrance was. And then I realized on my way back from wherever I was going that you couldn't see it anymore. And I was so sad.
Many, many years ago, Dave and I drove up to see if it was still kind of there, even though they had just started paving the road. And when we got up as far as we could go, it was just, they were starting to build houses. And it was just like, we're like, if we just walk that way through these people's yard,
Yeah.
like, you know, we know where we'll be. But man, that's so sad. And it makes me wonder, where did the kids party? Because I know they don't party as much.
That's the thing, is they just don't.
They
They don't go fucking anywhere. These kids do not.
They
leave
put
the house.
their headphones on and they get on their games, and that's how they hang out.
There's got to be some though, right? Like drinking and like fentanyl's huge now, and
I
they're
feel
at people's houses.
they're
really?
from
They do
extremes.
them at people's houses. Yeah.
Yeah, they're definitely not. You know,
No.
like
We were,
which I mean is
drunk.
good as parents, it's great because we don't have to worry about it. But
Right.
like as people who had the experiences that we did as teenagers, it kind of makes me sad.
Yeah.
Because like those parties and like those times that we were in the pit and we were at the overflow or the cove or in a hotel room
or game room
wherever.
1.
Yeah, or game room 1 or in someone's basement or a house party. Like those are some of the most vivid and just awesome memories that I have from back then.
Yeah, same here.
Sure.
Yeah.
My son actually called me. He was at a grocery store, like literally it's 1.5 miles from my house and it's less than 1 mile from the grocery store to his girlfriend's house. This boy called me. He said, "Can you come get us? It's raining and the bags are heavy." I said, "I can't take up the mountain, little boy. We are not the same. You can walk your happy ass back to her house. Thank you. Bye."
Yeah, we walked
We used
everywhere.
to walk, like literally everywhere.
I'm like, "Well, the guys carried the keg up the mountain." I said, "Me and a friend of mine, a very good friend of mine who I happen to be talking to, we had the gallons of grain and alcohol and all."
Yeah.
While the guys carried the keg up. But we still went up White Rock and we carried that shit that whole way.
Yeah.
So, no, we are not the same. And no, I will not come get you 1 mile away. You're drizzling and your bag of groceries is heavy.
It's so weird. It's so weird how different it is.
Yeah. I like the fact that he's not out doing what I was doing at his age. And that he's
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely not upset that he's not doing it. You know, I wish he would, like, you know, like you said, Emily, is have some more of those core memories, though. Of, you know.
They will, but I think they'll have them as they get older. You know what I mean? I think now that high school is really starting, I think that will change. And
were there any specific foods or snacks that you remember from the 80s or 90s?
Onions.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Frick, yeah.
Yeah, I do remember in high school Mountain Dew being a big deal because it cut out the cotton mouth. And like that was the whole reason that so many people were drinking it, was because it was very caffeinated and it helped with cotton mouth.
That's all right. Fun fact of the day, I guess.
And it's like
kidney stones, but it'll cut that cotton mouth.
But like thinking back on it now, it's so ridiculous because like, yeah, of course it helped with cotton mouth. Any beverage would have.
Right. You know what I mean? You're like, this tastes so good. Have you had this?
It was Taco Bell for me. I was obsessed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we used to hang out in the Taco Bell parking lot because we were cool.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, especially because Taco Bell and McDonald's were right next to each other. And like some people would hang out in the Taco Bell like parking lot and then other people would hang out in the McDonald's parking lot. And if you were very different, you were across the street at Burger King.
See now.
But funny, I went through like all the genres at one point when me and the tall one, right before we got together, that's the only place we went is Burger King.
Yeah.
But like, yeah.
And before
but
that,
then we'd
Ann
all
and I
end
would
up at
hang out.
Denny's.
Remember when we got pulled over and we were shoving beer bottles in our coat because we actually got caught?
Remember when one of the guys we hung out shoved his weed down our other girlfriend's pants, the front of her pants?
Isn't that super funny thinking about the fact that it's legal now? Like, you know, like
Not
these
where I
kids
live.
Have to go through.
like they have no idea how easy they have it and like how hard it was and what a thing it was back in our day. But I would like to say, I heard someone say it, that ultimately with the food, we did all end up at Denny's.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
Yes.
Denny's, and then also after Billiards, the Friendlies that was right there.
Yes.
Waffle fries with the cheese.
Oh, that was so good. And then we would drink in the woods behind Friendlies, remember? And then we'd be drunk and stumbling
You
in
go
there.
down the railroad track.
Yes.
Yep. And hang out with the bums.
Yep.
Oh my
We
god.
really hung out with homeless people.
We
What
did.
was his name?
So they would buy us
talking
alcohol.
about them.
And then we'd
Oh.
stumble into Friendlies drunk and order food.
And then Fun Dip, oh my God, remember that with those little tiny sugary? It's like it's just a pack
Oh,
of
yeah.
sugar with a sugar stick.
Yeah.
And then the as weird as it is at the carnival, you'd get those candy cigarettes that you smoke.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
And you blow out smoke, like a puff of smoke.
Yeah, and
it's like,
we felt
I
so
don't even know what the
cool.
hell that was that we were
I don't
pumping
even
out.
know.
Baby
what they were
powder.
called.
I know,
Right?
right? Talcum powder.
Dude, I
Yeah,
remember the mega pixie sticks.
Oh yes.
Oh yeah.
They were like enormous, and like you'd like
Yes.
pound them, and then like twist. Like we'd all go to diabetic shock.
Yes.
Okay,
I was like, why would you give this
had the
to a
best
kid?
food.
Yeah, like straight sugar, just straight sugar to the head.
So
Straight
good.
crack.
Hell yeah.
I also think that like Pizza Hut when we were little was
good.
an experience too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
With
like
the red
going.
cups, they had, I don't know why,
Yes.
but they had the best like big red soda cups.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. And then they had every single Pizza Hut, no matter where you went, had that Pac-Man
Yep.
table.
Oh yeah.
Like, and it was always warm in there. And just
You know what I miss?
oh.
I miss jukeboxes. Like
Yes,
you could go
Yeah.
to
me too.
any restaurant or place like that, and they'd have a jukebox, you know, and you could just go
Yes.
pick music and listen to it. I love that. I wish they still did that.
Yeah. Oh,
I mean, they
same.
also had like vending machines with cigarettes in them at the time. So
Yes.
That is
and
true.
phones that you would put a dime in, and you can call people from the phone. Because our beeper would go off, and we have to call the number and find out who it is. Because
Yep.
Yep,
so
I
cool.
would get grounded from the phone, and I would go and walk like a mile or two just to get to the closest payphone so I could have some sort of life. It was so dumb.
Oh, I was lucky because remember the Extra Mart was like 3 doors down.
Yeah.
Best.
Yeah. It's so weird. It's such a weird change, like even just the phone, because it's like if you remember like when we were younger, it's like even before the beepers, no one got a hold of us once we left
Nope.
the house.
If there was an emergency, we were screwed.
That was it.
Yeah. And
the
like
first
but
time I
some but
actually forgot my cell phone, I was like, and I felt that panic. I was like, really?
yeah.
Really? Because you lived your whole life freaking without it.
I know.
could talk myself down.
Yeah, same. I'm the same way. And it's like,
Mhm.
I think about it now and it's like, we still made it to where we were supposed to be or with who we wanted to meet up with, even though we didn't have our phones.
And
like,
didn't have plans. We just found
yeah,
each other.
just somehow gravitated to the right places.
And we all
No,
kind
no.
of lived like across town from each other. You know what I mean? Like a couple
Yeah,
might
We
have
didn't
lived
all
close,
live very
but
close to each other at all.
no.
Yeah.
No.
Yep. But we'd still walk all the way around town to see each other.
Yes, we would.
Dude, you would not even recognize that street
Oh
now.
my God, it's
Like
horrendous.
it's basically like what the Berlin Turnpike used to be when
No.
we were in high
Yeah.
school. Yes.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Are those apartments still there?
Yep.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They look exactly the same from the
Yeah,
outside.
exactly. Like literally
Look up
exactly the
now,
same.
and there's houses there instead of cows.
Oh, don't tell me
So
that.
it's
That's
a
gonna
little
break
shocking.
my heart. That was
Yeah.
that was my first
Everywhere
thing.
you would if you came home, especially you because you've been gone for so long.
20
if you
years.
Yeah, like dude, if you came home now and just drove around our
Even
hometown,
T-Town.
you would be just floored at the difference. Like
Yeah.
we've
gotta
been
see it.
gone. Like we've been gone for 8 years, I think it is, and
Yeah.
we go back occasionally because we have family there, and it still like boggles my mind and just like blows me away the difference just in that amount of time. So
Oh God.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Behind where Blockbuster used to be, for reference, all those little apartments back there.
Oh
it's
yeah, that is insane over there.
Terrible.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it when I saw that. We were down a few months ago, and that whole area is just wow.
Yeah.
And like
What is it
like
now?
It's just like it's all
like condos.
It's all weird,
Yeah.
huge condos, and they look so misplaced.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
you
it's
used to know
crazy.
what was there. It's like there was cute little apartments back there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's too much. I'm not a fan. I don't even think at this point, I mean, it's just too expensive to rent in that town anyway, but at this point, I don't even think I would want to go back there.
Yeah, same here.
How just congested and it's these McMansions, these huge freaking houses, just gigantic, and in all these neighborhoods. So it's driving the property value of the houses, like the one family houses, the 1-story houses that you see in most of that area up there. They're all like being dwarfed by these gigantic houses, and I can't even fathom what the property values are like in that town anymore. Just because of all of the way it's been treated like that. And so it was a huge problem.
We're now the old people that are like, what happened to my town?
Yep.
So my grandfather used to say too, at all those duplexes, I can't believe all this is here. It looks so different. It's all used to be farm. And I'm like, oh, Grandpa, I'm fine.
Yep. Same thing with my grandma. She would talk about how much open land and how everything was farms and all this, and it's going hell in a handbasket. And like now,
it went to hell in a handbasket.
It really is. Like, it's just so congested. You can't even fart in that town without your neighbor getting mad.
We want the farms back.
I actually read a article just a couple weeks ago that said that town is, I'm not going to say the actual number, but is in the very top for searched zip codes for people to buy houses in.
Really?
Nationwide.
Really?
Yeah.
A little town, huh?
Yep.
People want to go there. We were like, get me the fuck out of here.
Right?
I moved out of state to get away from it.
Yeah. It's crazy. Another prominent thing that I think that we experienced as Gen X, and I'm not saying that other generations didn't, but I think that we were the last ones where slumber parties were prominent.
Yeah, for sure.
I think our experience as especially girls and 80s kids and 90s teenagers, I think that slumber parties and sleepovers were a huge and significant part of our development and growing up.
Yeah, I mean,
absolutely.
Anne slept over every single weekend for years.
Literally.
And if she wasn't at my house, I was at her house for years.
See, we were married. It's fine.
Yes. I always said that I wanted to meet a guy that was exactly like her, but a dude. And thank God I did.
Hey, he's pretty. I'll give him that, right? I told you before. He's pretty to look at. So
yes.
You found him.
Lily and I say the same stuff all the time. Our problems would be solved if just one of us had a penis.
Right?
Hey, listen, I'm even ready to forego that.
I remember when we were doing sleepovers and stuff, we would go in the circle and rub each other's backs. Do you remember that? And we would just do the circle and back rub.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, which is funny because like the stereotype and like joke about guys and like circle jerks and like how different us girls are is like it wasn't we just wanted a back rub.
Yeah, we didn't actually
Can I just say my son was in the room when you said that? Face. He just kicked me out.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
It's okay. He just kicked me out of his room.
He's like, you need to go, mother.
That was the only spot that nobody was hanging out in that I could just hang out. I was like, I'm done playing video games. I'm going to bed. Get out.
Sorry. But yeah, so like, also like, I think Esther, you said the Ouija boards, and we would do like the trances and like light as a feather, stiff as a board, Bloody Mary, and like
listen, Bloody Mary fucked me up. Okay, I saw that bitch. I was like, nope, y'all can kiss my ass. I'm not doing this with you again.
Well, see, Esther, we can do it now. We're gonna do it next summer when we have our vacation together.
Yes.
Because now I can be like, so Mary, I'm going to interview you. Everybody sends out questions. Shall we
I
talk?
miss playing hide and go seek out in the dark.
Yes.
Oh
Yeah. Oh, flashlight tag. And then there was like Marco Polo was big. Yep. Man.
I remember we froze. I was at a sleepover. It was like my whole like 5th grade class or something.
Oh, wow.
So it wasn't even like everybody was really good friends. It was just like somebody's birthday.
Mm.
And I forgot who it was that fell asleep. And these girls froze this girl's bra. I was like I will put my fingers in my eyes before I fall asleep tonight.
Right. I had a sleepover for my 13th birthday. Esther, I think you were there actually. And when some people fell asleep, a couple of us took their bras and went to freeze them, but we were idiots and we didn't put water on them first. We just put them in the freezer. So like the next morning we were like, we froze your bras, but really they were just cold. Like, oh, how sad. There were certain people that like you knew, like I knew in elementary school and most of junior high, like I would be going over to Kim's house almost every weekend for a sleepover. But then anytime anyone had a big, especially in junior high, anytime anyone had a big birthday, so many slumber parties, just like all of the slumber parties.
Yeah. Wait, were any of you guys there when my cat dragged in half a rabbit and left it in the bed?
Oh my God.
No. Thank God.
I forget who was at that birthday, but she's like, "Oh, y'all having a party? I brought snacks." But I remember everyone screaming because it was a half a rabbit.
Oh my God, she was just trying to be nice.
We were sitting there and thinking about like I can't remember. I can't remember if I was there, but because the Godfather, and we were making jokes about that, and it's like and they're like, somebody put it in there on purpose. It's like the Godfather. We're gonna die.
No, but it was also one of those nights like you were talking about earlier where we all sat in a circle and scratched each other's backs.
No, and I remember, Girl Scouts, and I remember I had to sleep in the freaking woods, and it rained the whole weekend.
Yes,
and I remember I had to sleep where there were slugs, there were
ew,
freaking slugs.
Nope.
And it was the daughter, the one that was near the wall of the tent was the daughter of like the freaking whoever the leader was.
Yep.
So the daughter didn't want to sleep near the edge, so they're like, "Oh, we're moving some of the sleeping bags around," and they made me sleep near the fucking edge where all the slugs were.
Oh, that's so rude.
I hate that.
I was so pissed because I'm like, I don't want to sleep in there, and she's like, "You gotta do what you're told." Blah blah. Oh my God, that was the last time I went to a freaking Girl Scout slumber party.
Right? Oh my God, that's horrible.
Dramatic. It's so bad.
Yeah,
it's
horrible. That's why I didn't like you little bitches. Girl Scouts.
So they moved me to the edge, and they moved the other girl to the middle because she was crying.
That's so messed up.
So
you should have cried.
Yeah.
I was mad.
She was like, "Fuck that!" I was ready to hurt somebody.
Right.
Sticks all over us. I remember we had these gowns, like the ponchos that we had to wear the whole weekend.
Yeah,
and
I remember doing that.
There were sticks everywhere, all over the poncho. I remember just flicking them off.
That's horrible.
Like your arms would be inside the poncho, and you just like kind of flick the flying off.
Oh my God, that's horrible. That's scarring.
It is.
How have you ever gone camping again? Like,
right.
I know not to sleep near the edge or to make sure that there's no holes.
Yeah.
He's like, I know where not to go. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. I remember we glamped. We glamped.
We did glamp.
Well, there's not really any ticks out here, so I don't have to worry about that anymore.
Well, that's good, because I hate ticks. They're the worst.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't have to do tick checks and all that other crap.
Ugh, I hate that. So Gen X is known for certain slang. I mean, every generation has their own slang. Some of the stuff, if you look into it, for our generation that comes up is like trippin'. Headbanger wasn't a thing until Headbanger's Ball really came out. Chill pill, gnarly, totally to the max, rock out. Dude,
rock out, yes.
Yeah. Like literally, it's interesting that these weren't phrases really until our generation. Are there any other ones like that you can think of that we use?
Oh yeah.
It's all going to be Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle stuff.
I know, right?
Totally tubular.
Yeah.
And I heard that rad is coming back. Like,
yeah.
That's pretty rad.
Yeah. Yeah, I think what's happening now is the 80s and 90s are to the kids of today how the 60s and 70s were for us.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. Okay, so how did your experience as part of Generation X shape your approach to adulthood and the responsibility of being an adult? So how did being Gen X make you who you are, basically?
Don't do anything our parents did.
Go to therapy.
Go to therapy.
Yes, all of that. That's in therapy session, I think.
Trauma.
The answer is always trauma.
Trauma, yeah.
I think it rolls back to that. I think it rolls back to, a lot of us grew up with our parents. And I think definitely, some of the things that we had to experience because we just had to. There was no choice. There was no stay-at-home moms were not as big of a thing. And you know what I mean? I know, Esther, your situation's very different. But, with stuff like that, me and Amy being only children, even, we didn't have a choice, but our parents had no choice but to do what they still had to do. So we didn't have a choice but to do what we had to do.
Right.
So, while I think our parents weren't happy about doing that to us, I think it was just an evil necessity that they didn't have a choice for. And so I think that shaped me into now as sort of a trauma thing is I don't ask for anything from anybody and I take on everything myself and I get overwhelmed. And I think all of us can, certainly agree with that and relate to that. So I think that's sort of as a whole, I think how all of us have, because of how we had to grow up, which is again why we're circling back to not doing that with our kids as much as possible. So are we softening them? Yes and no,
So we're making them going to be mentally more stable adults when they get older, hopefully.
Right. I say to my son all the time, I'm checking in with your mental health because it's important to me. He called me up a couple weeks ago at school and he was having a panic attack and he never had one before. And he was scared. He was like, I can't stop crying. I can't breathe. And I was like, I'm coming right now. We would not have been afforded that opportunity.
My mom would have just hung up on me. That
would have been like, what do you mean? I can't leave work. You'll be fine. Go to the nurse.
Yeah.
So
I had a fever of 101 and spots on my tonsils, right? They called my mom. She never showed up. They're like, okay, I'll be there in a little bit. Never showed up. The nurse is like, is this normal? I'm like, yep. I ended up waiting until the school was over and got on the bus and went home.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think absolutely those were things. I mean, the lifestyle that especially my mom lived, I didn't have the morning mother.
No, I didn't either.
You know what I mean? That was not somebody.
Nobody ever got up with me.
Was the morning person.
Yep. Didn't make sure I brushed my teeth. Didn't make sure I dressed. My homework was done. I ate. None of that. I got up and did that all myself. Went to school.
Yep. I have a thing where it's like, I need you guys. I'm gonna say a word, and whatever your response is to the word, I just want you to say it. Like, just what you personally think, because I think that this is like one of those funny haha things of like our generation. All right, so if you hear the word stop,
Drop and roll.
Hammer time.
Hammer time.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
And I swear we were stopping, dropping, and rolling a whole lot more than in my brain than we actually.
I've never once stopped, dropped, and rolled ever.
No, and I'm disappointed.
No, but we were all told that at some point we were going to catch on fire. So we needed to know.
We need to see trauma responses, people.
So
be prepared.
Yeah. So that's funny that Esther's the only one that said stop hammer time and the rest of you went to stop, drop, and roll. The other ones that are super common for our generation is stop in the name of love.
That's what was popping into my head. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then stop, collaborate, and listen.
I would have got there. There's a song for everything in my
I know.
There is.
Right.
You can say a word and I will sing you a song.
Yeah. Same. To wrap this all up, so we are all Generation X, right? I believe someone mentioned earlier that we are on the tail end of Generation X. Mm-hmm. So Generation X, for all generations, there are discrepancies for the years. But in general, the span of years for Generation X is the early 1960s to the early 1980s. The most prominent one is 1965 to 1980.
Okay.
Besides that, people who were born anywhere between 1975 and 1977 through to 1983 or 1985, again, discrepancy. That chunk of time,
Xennials.
They are Xennials.
So we're Xennials?
See, here's the thing. We fall into the category of both Gen X and Xennials. We have a unique spot where we are part of two different generations.
The technology, our parent, the beginning of Gen X didn't have technology. We did.
Right.
And that's huge. That's a huge difference.
Yeah. It's a huge difference. And now the thing on the internet, again, because I've said, since I started doing this podcast and I wrote the book, I've been really deep into Gen X and Xennial and anything 80s and 90s on the internet. I belong to so many groups and message boards. It's crazy. Now, people have different thoughts about Gen X and the Xennials. How do you guys feel? Because some people are like, no, I am Gen X and that is all I am. Screw you and your Xennials, screw you and your millennials and all that. Whereas other people are like, hey, I finally, fit into something. I am part of the Oregon Trail generation. There is a huge difference between how we grew up and how someone else in the former part of our generation grew up. So what are your takes as 4 women who fit into both categories? What is your take on it?
Yeah, no, we're nothing like people who grew up in the 60s.
No.
Yeah. I definitely agree with that too. Yeah, we're not like that. The very beginning of our generation.
I think we should be a different generation all on our own. I don't think we should be grouped in with either.
Because we still had, we still had that, again, that alone time growing up. But at the same time, we were part of the whole movement of, the computers and the cell phones and all of that.
The older Gen Xers, though, I've heard people not that much older than us, just a couple of years or so. They're like, why can't people just go into places and apply for jobs?
Yes.
I'm like, you don't do that anymore.
Yes.
You have to apply online.
I like
everything in the place and they tell you to go sit in your car and apply online. It's like
I've noticed a huge difference in a huge span of attitude from the older Gen X as opposed to the younger Gen X. I feel like the older Gen X are a lot, and I hate to say it because it sounds like an insult, but it just is kind of the best way to describe it. But the older Gen X people are very boomerish.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
they seem to be very stuck in their ways and very of the mindset, well, we suffered, so therefore you should suffer too.
Oh my God, you just described my dad.
Yeah.
He used to say to me, I can't afford to go on vacation. You can't go on vacation. It's like, okay.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I think Xennials, I think someone had mentioned it too. Xennials, I think we have a special place in time, because like, yes, there's going to be cusp people on every generation. There's going to be like the older parts are always going to be different than the younger parts of generations. But I think the Xennials being a transition generation between analog and digital is a huge difference that really makes us stand out.
Yeah.
To be
They
honest.
always talk about that. We played outside, but we can, use technology. Like, I'm still my parents' IT person, for Pete's sake.
We also grew up in a time, so like the older Gen X people, there was like that, because there wasn't any internet or anything like that, a lot of the computers, they grew up thinking that how safe the neighborhood, how safe the community was.
Right.
Whereas with us, AOL, Instant Messenger, and all that other stuff, like, remember like the old, like you would connect to AOL and like you'd be able to talk to people across the world. And that's when like all the like pedophiles, and I mean, I was 10 years old talking to people from like men from India looking for wives. It's like, you know what I mean? So it's like the real the real truth of like how dangerous the world is. So we were also kind of like that generation where like they started cramping down on like, hey, you can't do this, you can't do that, you know?
Yeah, stranger danger.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like bad. Whereas before it was like, oh, love everybody and trust everybody. And, oh, the neighbor down the street will see where our 5-year-old is.
Yeah.
Now it's like, they're like stranger danger. Now it's like, Uber will come and pick your drunk ass up and bring you home. You're going to get into a stranger's car. You're going to be fine. Also, we're going to make all of our friends on the internet. Then, like, they could be serial killers. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah. I think another defining aspect for being a Xennial is the mix of old and new media. And that's everything from, the internet being able to bring, news and videos and music directly to us. But also, books are different, I feel like. Music is different. How we consume TV and how we, go to the movies. Like, you can't even just buy a ticket to the movie and then just go in and see where you want to sit. You have to like order it online and then pick your assigned seating, which is so different from how we grew up.
We look in the newspaper, figure out if we were going to the movies.
Yeah, we look in the newspaper, or we call, and that automated voice would just,
and somebody would inevitably talk over what you were listening to, and you have to listen to it all over again. Yeah. And another I think defining thing about being a Xennial, and I do think that every generation has certain music and certain genres that come about that really, just encompass that generation. But I think that we have an extra special little point in history as, hip hop and gangster rap became big in the 80s and the 90s, and grunge. Those were those genres were not really before our time. Yeah. It's funny, like, just especially hip hop, because like even myself, I'm just an old metalhead. I feel like I don't think I've ever really liked much else, but even hip hop back then, Beastie Boys, all that stuff.
Yeah.
It still resonated with me because I don't know, it was just not something we had heard before. It's not something we experienced in that way, where it was more relatable to the masses than to a specific group of people, so to speak.
Yeah, and I think what helped with that, not only the airplay that type of music was getting, but also I feel like in our teen years especially, there were a lot of movies that were centered into the urban, Black experience, like Boys in the Hood, New Jack City, that type of stuff, which kind of showed people who didn't know what was going on or didn't understand that this was happening in cities, that this was the life that people were leading. And hip hop and gangster rap was like the soundtrack to all of that.
Yeah.
And it's just, I think it's interesting that we just, I don't know, grunge was huge and it's had a lasting impact. Rap is huge and has had a lasting impact. And I think it's really cool that we got to experience all that in real time.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, one last thing, because I know you guys, I have a couple Dunkin' Donut girls here. I have been, okay, so I watched a video last year where people were quizzing about fast food places. One of the questions was, when did Dunkin' Donuts introduce breakfast sandwiches onto the menu? And so, being someone that worked at Dunkin' Donuts in 94 and 95, I felt pretty confident in saying that it was either 94 or 93. Because I know in 94 and 95, I was making sandwiches, breakfast sandwiches, tuna sandwiches, chicken salad sandwiches.
100%.
Well, if you go on the internet and you look it up, even in Dunkin' Donuts history, you will find that they said they didn't even have bagels until 1996, and they didn't start offering sandwiches until 1997.
No way. There's no way. My mother was a manager. We have all worked for my mother.
So my mother was a manager too.
There's no way.
Please bring it up to her.
I'm totally going to. There's no way. It was way before 90s.
I did not work there after high school.
We used to throw bagels over by the dumpster so the food people could get them. But they were way.
And specifically, if you remember correctly, Rose worked and was a manager at Dunkin' Donuts and used to bring food home to all of us degenerates all of the time.
Listen to me. I was a stupid manager. I was second shift manager, and we made sandwiches in 1994 and 1995.
Agreed.
100%.
So
absolutely. And I was totally cutting bagels and croissants and stuff.
Yes.
Because my mom was like, don't cut your hand on the bagel. You can't hold it and slice it.
Yeah. And making eggs in the microwave in the little paper.
Yes.
The little paper bowl.
Put them in the cup and scramble the eggs.
Yeah.
I remember doing that.
Yes.
In the very beginning.
Apparently, I don't know if it's a Mandela effect, if we jumped timelines or what, but apparently the entire internet is saying that we are wrong. And I know we aren't, because I only worked there in senior year.
Me too. That's why there's no way. So listen, here's what happened. It started with us, okay? We were the first stores. We were the very first stores in the entire country to have sandwiches. That's what happened.
We'll have to. I have a bunch of things that are written down for the Mandela effect. We'll have to plan another call and we'll go through all of them. But can I tell? Honestly, this Dunkin' Donuts one has been making my brain itchy and my eye twitch for over a year now. Because I'm like, there's just no way. I'm sorry, but I didn't work there past senior year. I didn't. So there's no way possible.
My mother, no, because she started working there in the freaking 80s.
Yeah.
And I remember,
so ask her.
No, she used to, and I remember the chicken salad was gross. I hated the chicken salad.
I loved the chicken salad. I loved it. I loved the chicken salad on a croissant was my to-go.
Everybody likes tuna on a croissant.
Mine was all about the sausage patty.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. Sausage, egg, and cheeses are a part of my DNA at this point.
Yes.
I've been eating them for 30 years.
So seriously, like, talk to your mom about it.
I'm gonna.
And like, you guys go ahead and look on the internet to see that I'm not making it up. And we'll have another call and we'll discuss all the Mandela effect things.
That sounds awesome.
Definitely need to do that.
Yeah.
It's getting late, so I'm gonna wrap this up. But thank you so much, you guys, for joining in. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it, and I love spending the time with you guys.
Same here. I love you guys.
Yes.
I love you
guys. I miss you all too.
Miss you guys.
Miss you too. Next summer, right?
Yeah.
Right, girls?
Definitely.
We're gonna make it happen because we really need some in-person girl time.
Definitely.
Yes. Absolutely.
So, yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna let you guys go, and I love you and thank you again.
Love you too.
All right.
Good night,
Love
guys.
you guys.
Have a good night.
You
All right.
too.
Good night. Bye.
Bye-bye.
So that's going to do it for this episode. I wanted to thank my very, very special guests, Esther, Anne, Lily, and Amy, for coming onto the show and sharing so much with us all. I cannot express how much it means to me. And thank you to our listeners for joining in today on Naive in the 90s, the podcast. Without you, it would just be us talking to ourselves, which, I mean, would still be fun, but, you know. I hope you come back in 2 weeks for a new episode. Make sure to follow so you don't miss it. For questions, comments, feedback, or to contribute to the conversation, send me a message at naiveinthe90s@gmail.com or connect with me on social media with the handle @naiveinthe90s. And of course, go grab your copy of Naive in the 90s, the creative nonfiction book based on real-life diaries from the early and mid-90s, available on Amazon. Thank you again for joining. Hope to see you next time. Peace and love, my dudes.